But I do have a question to ask you. And, Bull, you've been firing shots left and right about this
well,
all morning.
This is just silly.
Let's bring up the Kareem Hunt topic. Did the Browns make a mistake letting Kareem Hunt walk?
This is ludicrous, okay? There's plenty of fair things to crap on the Browns about. Not bringing back Kareem Hunt, really? And this all started because my man Darryl Ryder, I love him. We worked together for many years. But Darryl puts the Browns, they couldn't use Kareem Hunt or whatever he said last night. Like, that's just such a disingenuous thing.
I agree with him.
It's okay. The Browns would have still won 3 games with Kareem Hunt. Let's face the realities. People are talking about Kareem Hunt having 7 touchdowns as if he's freaking Saquon Barkley here. He averaged 3.5 yards a carry, which is terrible. He's 53 out of 61 running backs in the league in yards after contact. He gets the ball on the 3-yard line, and he does that job. He's nice in that role.
Well,
that would have done nothing for the Browns
Nothing.
this year.
We're not in a situation where we needed a closer.
He would have been useless for the Browns.
All that being said, I said when they signed him, I said when the Browns didn't bring him back, I go, he's going back to Kansas City. Here's what he is. He's a 2 or 3 yard back. There was a play yesterday where he was hit 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He gained 7 yards after that. The tough yards
but he's not
in the
good
NFL.
at that.
And by the way,
he's not good at that.
No, he is.
Yeah. No, he's not. He's 53rd out of 61 running backs in yards after contact.
We need touchdowns, right? If Buffalo had a guy that was great in 4th and 1,
they'd be good.
And you know what the difference between Buffalo, one of the differences between Buffalo and Philly is? When Philly's in 4th and 1, you're like, a new set of down. You can't stop them. It's a first down almost every single time.
Kareem Hunt's dependent on his offensive
But what I
line.
like about Kareem Hunt and what the Kansas City Chiefs recognized that they could use, the toughest 3 feet in all of sports is from the 1 yard line. You need a guy that has a nose for the end zone. He's not a great back anymore, but he does have a way to plow through all that and get into the end zone. And that's a commodity.
But he's like...
Ask Buffalo today.
He finished like 25th in touchdowts amongst running backs. It's not like he's putting...
That's stats. That's just stats.
Touchdowns per carry.
I'm sorry, I'm using facts.
No. You're not going to use him like you use a regular back. You're only using him in that spot.
What we're talking about is...
That's what I'm saying.
But he's a weapon.
Bull, you got to understand.
I just think he's a guy.
But listen, I don't agree with Darryl that we should have kept him. What are we going to do with him?
Here's the thing. There's 2 things here. One fold is when you're playing against a guy, there's a cumulative effect when you have to tackle a guy that's running that hard. People act like these are humans. Like, there is an effect on the run game. I got to get up. It's psychological. It's physical. Sometimes you run the ball not to get 7 yards of carry. You run the ball because it's a mentality, and you got to get a tough 3 sometimes. You know how important a tough 3 is? Ask the Buffalo Bills how they got to run their quarterback, and they got stopped when it's 4th and inches. How much would they pay for 3 yards in that case?
Well,
1 yard. Can I give one stat real quick?
They've had a better play call. It would have worked. But if Kareem Hunt's so good, why did nobody want him in the beginning of each of the last 2 years?
Because here's the thing. Everybody can't see what other people see. Some people is just not good. Like, some people that run these teams are not smart.
Well, but no team wanted him. None.
But the best team did, and he's
the best team did after the season started because their running back got hurt.
But that's what gave him the opportunity.
Right.
He wasn't in the top 53, but he was very important once their running back went out. Andy knows this guy.
I just think there's a lot of other guys that can do what he does. And I think it's overrated.
They went with him, and here they are in the bowl.
We got 3 or 4 guys that ain't doing what he's doing.
What's your stat, Mike?
What are you talking about?
Who do you think finished with a higher 4th down conversion rate this year, the Bills or the Chiefs?
The Bills.
The Bills did.
They did second highest in football.
Which is why I was so disappointed
It was
yesterday.
last night they didn't play.
It's why I was so disappointed with yesterday. They kept trying to shift Allen to the left.
Man.
In that half of a second that it takes him to get the snap and take a step to the left, the play's over.
That's all about coaching.
It's all about coaching. I just kept screaming. They tried it again and again and again.
Think about this. We've gotten to a place where now we are counting on quarterback sneaks. These dudes are doing mental gymnastics to get quarterbacks to do these sneaks when old school football reigns supreme. Give me 2 tight ends, a fullback, and a short yardage back, and I'm about to get these yards.
They should have given the ball to James Cook some of those times. I don't know why they didn't.
I was screaming.
He's a way better back than Kareem Hunt.
And I had Cook in my fantasy team this year,
Yeah.
and so I was keenly aware of how they use him and how he's effective in that situation. And I just kept looking at Sean McDermott like, What did you forget that you have this guy in your roster? He's on the sidelines during these
McDermott
plays.
said during the regular season we were intentionally not giving Cook some carries. We want to save him for the playoffs, and then that must make last night even more kind of baffling.
More perplexing.
Yes.
And like the Chiefs almost never sneak with Patrick Mahomes. They don't really do it.
No.
They're like, oh, we got a running back. Let's let him do it.
What they do, though, in that situation, and they did it last night.
I think you and I are mostly on the same page.
We are.
Kareem Hunt is perfectly fine in that role.
He is not a star.
He's certainly not. And I'm just saying, I don't think he's like this special goal line back. I think he's a fine goal line back.
He's almost like the utility guy who, when you bring him in, can steal a base, or you put him in as a defensive replacement, makes a diving play.
Yeah.
Maybe here and there he'll get a clutch hit for you. He's a piece on the roster that if you asked Andy Reid today, would you be where you are if you didn't have him for the season? He might tell you no.
He got 17 carries, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. That is hard playoff yards.
He played a solid game.
And he did have a nice game.
I don't deny that.
And the championship.
But that's 4 yards of carry. It's not like he's changing life.
I'm just saying, this whole thing about that the Browns blew, it's easy to crap on the Browns for a lot of real things. The Browns didn't blow it with Kareem Hunt.
Here's the next thing is the overarching theme is with the Cleveland Browns is not being able to properly evaluate who's good, who's bad, and who you should be playing. The problem is Kareem Hunt was here in his prime.
He was.
And the Browns still didn't use him correctly.
Well, how should they have used him? They didn't use
how many times did we say, where's Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the same backfield?
We begged for
it. I said it too, but the reality is, they didn't do that in Kansas City.
But here's what I'm saying.
Nobody really does that, even though I wanted it also.
But here's the thing. I give you another example.
Yeah.
We got Odell Beckham Jr., right? He goes to the Rams, and he scores touchdowns in the Super Bowl. And you're like, well, I thought he was washed. I thought we couldn't find a way to get him.
Odell was washed.
But hold on.
He had like 2-3 good games.
But here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you score 2 touchdowns in a game in the Super Bowl, and you couldn't get the ball in Cleveland, the reality is, Bull,
we got the ball here.
Listen,
he was a bad teammate. This is an old argument at this point.
It's not an old argument.
Yeah,
the argument is everybody that leaves Cleveland goes to these other. Hey, what about Schwartz? What about Mitchell Schwartz?
That was a huge mistake.
Okay,
that has nothing to do with this regime, though.
But what I'm saying is there's a
no. But Odell barely did anything after he left here. You know that.
Stop. You know he bought it. You know we had arguments about what Odell did in the playoffs to get him there in the postseason.
I give you, he did well in that postseason. But he never did anything else besides that.
That
was a great run.
But what I'm saying,
the Browns going to the postseason?
What I'm saying is, as we move forward, we got what gives you confidence that if you can't see this guy can play still, or you can't put this guy in position, I got a hard time.
I just don't think Kareem Hunt's a good example.
I got a hard time thinking if you draft Travis Hunter, you're going to put him in position.
That's a fair question if you factor in the drafts, too.
Yes.
The guys they've drafted at wide receiver that have given us nothing whatsoever, it makes me question how are they going to finally get it right at that spot?
But what I'm saying is I don't think Kareem Hunt or even Odell are good examples, in my opinion.
You know what would have happened yesterday if Amari Cooper caught the game-winning touchdown?
Yeah.
The narrative this morning would have been, the Browns blew
100%.
it. No, they didn't. Amari is done.
Yeah.
They knew it before anyone else did. So I got to give credit on that one.
I'll give credit where credit is due. I'll give credit.
Jarvis Landry was done.
Where credit is due on that. My thing is like this. It's all about the evaluation process. If the Cleveland Browns, it's painful to see people go other places and have a certain level of success, and you got 3 wins. That's the sentiment that I think you're saying.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
That I get.
When you see Kareem Hunt score touchdowns doing push-ups in the end zone, you think about a time when we beat the Steelers and he scored them touchdowns and he's doing push-ups. You're like, damn. We had him at once upon a time.
That's fair. It's just this idea that he would have made a difference for the Browns.
No,
I just don't buy that.
He wouldn't have been a 1,000-yard back. He wouldn't have been anything special.
Right. But that's the only piece you're missing,
it looks crazy.
He's an
good.
MVP.
I'm not going that far.
No, because
if he has value, I'll give you he has value.
I'm not going to say they lose that game without Kareem Hunt. I won't go that far. But those, like you mentioned, those 64 yards, those 4 yards per carry.
That's tough.
That keeps drives moving. That helps you win the game.
I hear you. I think they would have won anyway, but it's a stupid argument.
Let me ask you guys this before we move on to the other part of the Browns we got to talk about. Right now, today, G, I'll start with you. Who's a better running back right now? Jerome Ford or Kareem Hunt?
Kareem Hunt? What do you mean?
Jay?
I'm going with the younger legs. I'm going to.
He has more splash ability, but
So,
on down and
I would
down.
go with
Here's
Ford.
what I'd say to that. If you say
Can he handle Ford's workload right now?
if you say who's a better runner, Jerome Ford's a better runner right now. If you say who's a better back, I would say Kareem Hunt. And what I mean is Kareem Hunt is still pretty good at picking up the blitz.
Very good at picking
He
up the
does
blitz.
things like that, those little things that he's still solid at, that Jerome Ford is not particularly good at. If you said to me, well, you can only have one of these guys over a season on the same team carry 15, 20 times, I'd rather have Ford.
I would take the younger legs.
If you say, okay, well, I need him to pass block a lot, and I need him to just score on the goal line, I'd rather take Kareem Hunt.
If you ask me, McNuggets, you got one game for all the marbles.
Oh, that's
Well,
easy.
no, I would take Kareem Hunt in that
Everyone's
situation.
taking
Come on out here.
Look, Kareem Hunt might score 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl and be the MVP.
No, listen.
It's possible. It's
I didn't
possible.
get to get as mad as I thought I would because you guys weren't as high on Kareem Hunt as I thought you would.
Oh, no, he's not an all-pro.
I don't think anybody was out here
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, here he is, the best running back in the NFL." He's a piece that helps the Chiefs win. That's what he is.
That's fine. I just think it's easy to pile on the Browns, and they deserve it. They
do.
mostly deserve it.
yeah.
And moves-
but do it where it's
Yeah,
warranted.
right.
And moves like that are the reason why the Chiefs are so good.
That's no doubt.
They find look. That's the difference. That game is hey Buffalo. Can you get in two tight ends and run the football to get a yard? No, we got to run our quarterback every single play. That you're not going to win. Then you're not balanced enough. You got to find me somebody.
The frustrating thing is, I think they are good enough to do it.
They have
didn't do
someone
it.
on the roster in Cook, and he was standing on
Hey,
the
wait,
sideline.
can I push back on that real quick, G? The Eagles, can we all agree Saquon's the best back in football?
Yes.
Yes.
They
No
do the
question.
push every 4th and 1. So let's not pretend that that's
That's
like.
fair.
But Mike,
And they have the best offensive
But
line.
push is
here's
unstoppable.
why. You can't stop it. It's a cheat code.
Right, listen.
Although they did stop it yesterday once, didn't
One
they?
time they stopped it
But I'm
yesterday.
just saying, G's saying
No,
they
it's a
should
headline.
have
Hold
QB
on.
run.
One team.
It works.
Hold on. One team gets that off every time.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
There's
it.
no
And
other
it's
team
not
that does
just-
that.
By the way, it's not just the quarterback. It's the push they get from the line.
I'm just
It's the
saying,
created
let's
it
not
from
pretend
behind.
that
I don't know how
isn't-
other teams can't.
I
get
don't
it as
either,
a-
but they can't, Bull.
But
No, they
I
can't.
just saw
Philadelphia they found a cheat code.
And it's
unstoppable.
I just watched Buffalo with the biggest, most athletic quarterback in the league lose a game on a 4th and 1 because they couldn't do the tush
You're right.
push.
You're right.
So it's everybody would like to play a certain way, but can you play a certain way? And for me, here's what I know. I just know that when you put your hand in the dirt and there's it's 35 linemen and 8 tight ends with a bruising back there, I know there's a you know what you got to do to stop somebody in the backfield on them plays? I used to always chalk it up. I said, man, I used to think on 4th and 1 and 4th and 2 in my head, when they punted or kicked, I said, boy, we dodged the bullet on this one because we wasn't stopping none of that.
It was incredible.
When as a fan, if the other team is 4th and 1 and they punt, you're always like, thank God.
Yeah, especially now.
Thank
Especially now.
the Lord because they was getting that.
And the biggest thing, I agree with you, G, and you're right on the money. You know, maybe I don't completely agree that some of these other teams are not trying as hard, but nobody. Well, I guess in the end I do agree because they're not trying as hard as the Chiefs. The Chiefs do always. We're good here. Let's get this guy. He might make a difference. The Chiefs add all these guys who help 0.5%, and it adds up.
I thought it was a mistake that they didn't go after Amari Cooper, but they knew what Cleveland knew. There's nothing left. He's done.
Fell off a cliff.
He fell off an absolute cliff.
They look like they had Hollywood, right? But they went and got Worthy.
Yeah.
It's like we need that speed element. I know we just spent him in free agency. They're like, okay, well, we got Juju Smith-Schuster. No, that's not enough. Let's go get DeAndre Hopkins too, right?
And the weird thing is, one of them
will
is
do
likely
something.
to do something mind-blowing in the Super Bowl, and then Andy's going to say,
See?
I got him for exactly this moment.
Yeah, right.
DeAndre Hopkins. He's been waiting to have
he's
that
just sitting there.
monster
And half
game.
of them won't be back next year, and
No.
they'll find other
and they'll
guys.
have new faces and
Yeah.
new names, and they'll win again.